All right, Bismillah Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to episode 14 from The Truth About Love with me, Mizi Wahid, and also,
Lisa Surihani. Assalamualaikum, everyone.
yes, welcome back.
Wow. Wow. We have spoken about so much about love, right,
hmm
Ustaz? So
But today
much.
we want to talk about what if love fails? How
Mm.
do you believe in it again? Which is something that I think we need to acknowledge as well, because some people, Lisa, they once believed in love, but now,
Invested so much.
yes, and now they are slowly losing hope when it comes to love. They don't know how to love again. They're too scared to open up to love again
Mhm.
because of what they have suffered in the past.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we are going
Or in the event of when it failed. Like
yes.
everything was fine and dandy, da 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 da. Then suddenly it's no longer there.
Mm,
The breakup happened, or the
divorce
engagement
broke
broke
off.
up,
Hmm.
the divorce happened,
Hmm.
so they feel that they don't trust whether they can go through. They I don't know whether, I mean, let me, if I may ask you, right, like, do you think they're afraid to fall in love again, or they're afraid that they might be hurt if the love fails again?
Yeah, that's a
Which
good
one is
question.
it, right? So
Yeah,
which one is it, like, really?
I think they're just fast forwarding it and imagining the worst case scenario. Like, if
Mm,
I fall in love again and then get hurt again, I'm going to feel exactly what I'm feeling right now again,
probably worse, who
worse.
knows, right?
So, in
Mm.
in in an attempt to avoid completely any of this from repeating itself,
Might as well not
might
go
as
through
well
it at
just,
all.
yeah, just avoid it
Mm.
altogether. That will be
Oh
easier.
gosh.
So, the first thing that I want to share with our listeners and our viewers, Lisa, is to learn to accept your history.
Your
Okay,
past.
your past.
Mm.
And that and that as we mentioned before, that love was never the problem to begin with. Okay, so in considering whether you can love again, and how do you believe in love again, you need to remove blame from love, because it was never the problem.
Okay.
You need to focus instead on the fact that maybe, just maybe, it just didn't work out between the two of you, because you were not able to fix maybe a future mother-in-law issue, or um, where we're gonna stay issue, or our workplace problems.
Mm.
I hear in Malaysia there are a lot of people who get married, and then the wife stays in Johor because she has work there and
Mm.
they have a
Okay.
house there, but the husband works in Penang, for example, because his
Oh
work is there.
gosh.
And they
Oh, that's
only
five
and they
hours
only yeah, and they only meet each
apart.
other like on weekends, sometimes once a month. And apparently, Lisa, this happens quite a lot in Malaysia, based
Mm,
on some
mm,
of the conversations that I've had with some of them,
mm.
and some of the counseling, of course, because then it gets really hard after a while, long distance relationship in a
Yeah.
marriage. So when they have all of these issues, then they cannot really resolve it properly. Then the relationship ends, the marriage ends.
I think we would like to also highlight that apart from the fact that love was never the problem to begin with, is also sort of like one needs to try and get out of the self-blaming thing as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
Like, why I mentioned so is because the kind of stories that I hear. I mean, I'm not a ustaza or what. There's a tendency that people tend to
Want to open up
share
to you?
with. Yeah, they want to open up. And what I noticed from the love failed scenario stories that they share with me is that they keep blaming themselves. So, like, especially, like, if the divorce happened and they go like, like, I failed in keeping the marriage alive. I failed,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep really, they even go to depression because of prolonged, the trauma that they're going through is prolonged,
Hmm.
you know. So, not to say that in every scenario one may not have flaws or one may not have their faults or whatever, but then in order for one to move on, I think it is important that they they need to get out from that cocoon of self-blaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Ustaz? Like, do you
Yes.
hear this
I
a lot
mean,
in the
yeah,
stories that
of
they share with
course, of
you?
course. There are people who say they can't even look at themselves in the mirror anymore,
Ayo.
because of how much blame they place upon themselves.
Mm,
And that can get them into a depressive mode, like
mm.
they just remain stuck there. um we, we don't even get to talk about whether they get to believe in love again. They just can't get their
They
life
block
back.
terus.
Yeah, they can't get their life back in order
Mm,
yet. And I think that should be priority.
mm.
When they get back on their 2 feet, and then they get back to life, and they reintegrate back to society and work and everything else, then I think that's when they can start to look into the possibilities, yeah, of
I
love
think,
again.
okay, so I think following up from your point, I think what we could help our listeners out there is, like in accepting your history, in short, people will say like, macam, like, oh, then start counting your blessings, like appreciate what you already have, appreciate what you have, and all that jazz, right? It's also important, like I think, in your mind to place what you have placed your definition of happiness to at this point of time of recovery or healing, right, Ustaz? Like
Mhm.
like I think if you're gonna put, oh, my happiness is at only when I am in a relationship or in the marriage with so and so,
Mhm.
but now I'm in the situation. So at the moment now, your definition for your solace and your happiness is still there.
Mhm.
So now you've got to unlearn that,
Yes.
accept the past and unlearn what is your definition of your contentment, happiness, and all that. So that it's sort of like it helps you to maybe restart.
That's a very good
Um,
point. Yeah, I
mm,
really like that, because I think one of the biggest mistakes many of us make is when you make it a condition that your happiness is tied to a particular person.
yeah,
That's dangerous.
yeah.
Okay. Because anything can happen to that person, and that person can change anytime too.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the biggest risk when you place all of your happiness, all of your joy, all of your contentment, your peace on a particular individual. And when that doesn't last, does it mean is the end of your happiness? So
Mm,
be very careful.
yeah,
Yeah. Because when that person leaves, when the engagement is broken off, after you've started imagining what it would be like to
right.
build a home together, to have a
Mm,
wedding, beautiful wedding together, and none of
mm-mm,
that happened,
mm,
do you now become someone who's unable to see that kind of happiness in someone else? And as a
mm.
result of that, completely giving up on love.
What I can take from that is also, wow, okay. You remember how we hear it in movies, right? You complete me.
Mm,
There's that dependency, like you said, the dependency of happiness or filling up that void for the
mm.
love and all that onto another person. So it's important for you to unlearn that and realize that you complete you.
Mm. Your partner compliments you, but it's not
Mm,
fair to say you complete me. I think it's okay to say such things while having the full understanding that they are not everything, right?
mm,
You are
okay.
my better half. People like to say, which is perfectly fine,
Mm,
because
mm,
it's also saying that he or she compliments me
mm.
in the parts where I'm lacking, and
Yeah.
that's an okay thing.
Yeah, I think the term, or rather the word compliment, has a better notion
Mhm.
for both individuals actually,
Instead of
rather
saying
than,
completing me.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, because then it's not dependency. It's just it's like me saying, like, oh, for some weird reason I feel that Yusri makes me want to be a better person, for example.
Yes,
you know yeah, it's not so much like without him
I cannot live my life.
I cannot live my life. So if I feed into that thought, that could be dangerous.
Mhm.
Ah,
So
okay.
talking about complementing each other, I think some relationships also fail, Lisa, and it's because two individuals, they just don't click with each other.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
uh, and
Yeah.
and they think that it's love is a problem, but it's more of what's the word, it's not so much complimenting, but in the Arabic word is kafa'a,
Far.
tak sekufu. Sometimes Malay says tak sekufu. They're not
Oh.
compatible. Thank you.
Oh. Oh. Kufu. Okay.
They're not
Okay.
compatible, so they don't click,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
don't realize it in the beginning. And I wouldn't say it's completely their fault. They could have done a bit more work before, to ask
Mm.
more questions, to learn
Yep.
more about their partner.
Yep.
We already went through this. We know that not everything can be learned before marriage. Some
Yeah.
things you learn after marriage.
Yes.
So uh, so I think you don't really click with each other, it doesn't spell the end of love for you.
Yeah.
It may, though, when you sit down with your partner and you realize that, I don't think we can make this work. You agree, and your partner says yes too. I've seen
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
in that way, very
Mm-mm.
peaceful, very amicable, very cordial,
Yeah.
strangely, but
Yeah.
it can happen that way too, when two matured adults sit down together and realize that, hey, we really can't click, sebenarnya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, there are a lot that are able to settle amicably.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then when that ends, do you stop believing in love? No, of course not. I
Mm.
don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you realize that it's just that we didn't fit
Yeah.
well with each other. That's it. Nothing
Yeah.
else. So the
It's like
point
a
is, don't
peg
yeah,
trying to fit into into a
square
round hole, right?
yeah, Rahul, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't try to pin the blame on yourself too much, like what Lisa said. Don't blame yourself so much.
Mm.
It just didn't work, and that's it. You move on, and then stay open to the next opportunity, okay,
I
that
think,
comes your way.
and you see, macam, like, apart from the fact that I think we're trying to say how it does not mean it's a dead end, it still means that there is possibility for love, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, the whole I need to jump into another relationship quick.
No,
What are your thoughts about that?
no,
Like, but you know how some may feel that like that it's a requirement, like it's a safety net, like if I don't find someone else quick, then it's like,
that's unhealthy, I would say upfront. But I wouldn't
mm,
rule out, before I continue, I wouldn't rule out that there's every chance that you can meet someone the very next day and
ooh,
fall in love with that person. There's every chance,
okay,
but it's different compared to what you're saying, which is they are the
mm,
ones telling themselves, I need to,
yeah,
and they force themselves into a relationship, or they force somebody to be with them.
mm-mm,
That's unhealthy because it means that they're not comfortable being on their own.
yeah,
I find it problematic when a person is not able to be on their own for a while. Like they always need to have a rebound every single time.
right.
They cannot live with their own silence.
They
They
don't
cannot.
realize that they're becoming sort of like a serial monogamist, if you know what I mean, like, it
Yes.
has to be sort of,
Mm.
yeah.
And they need that all of the time. Yeah. So they need to be very careful. They
Mm-hmm.
need to get comfortable being alone. I highly
Mm.
recommend this.
Mm-hmm.
If you just ended a relationship and it was hard for you to take it, just give yourself a break.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a break, 6 months, a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not such a bad thing sometimes.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
used to it first and then start opening up again.
Mm.
Okay. But again, as I've said, notwithstanding the fact that as long as you stay open, you're honest, being yourself, if you find someone within a week, within a month, don't say, oh, no, 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 start say cannot, it's too soon. No, I'm not.
No,
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 if
no.
it
You're
happens, it happens.
yeah. It's just that what your mindset is towards that is
Exactly. The
important.
mindset. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't be so dependent on relationships that you need someone to lean on all of the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Make
Important. Yeah.
sense?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So, Lisa, I think you would agree with me. Would you? Okay, let me just ask you, lah. Do you
Oh no.
do you agree that love is an adventure? You think?
Yeah, I could say.
Yeah, it's
Could
an
say love
adventure
is
in
an
many
adventure.
ways, right? Because
Yeah.
you are exploring.
Yeah.
your
It doesn't
partners.
mean that, love is about like, oh, the couple must go hiking and all that, or like cross over the highest bridge in like,
Yeah.
whatever country ke apa ke.
I'm gonna chicken out of those things.
Totally.
Um,
Okay,
but
totally.
but it's really more of exploring your partner's
Yeah.
passion, deepest love for certain things and interests,
And
and
your own as well, right?
yeah,
It's
and
interesting how like when you're in love with someone and suddenly you're discovering new things about yourself even.
mm,
Mm.
and even more interesting when you actually combine your two interests together and
Mm.
you enjoy those moments together. Love is an adventure also because internally you are exploring your own emotions you've never felt before,
Mm. Mm.
emotions that have never been provoked and invoked before. Like,
Mm.
I never felt this feeling before. So
I
dengar
never thought I
lagu,
would. I
yeah,
never
dengar
thought I would
lagu
like
macam
this.
termenung, macam, what is this feeling? Then you
Right.
smell something, you smell the person's cologne or something. You're like, I could smell him, I could smell her. Like all of those weird things. You watch a movie and you hear a quote being said, a line in the movie, and then you're like,
Mm.
hey, I remembered saying this to this person or whatever. So there are so
Mm.
many interesting things, so
Yeah.
many feelings that you never thought you had,
Hmm.
never thought you could feel, but you
Right.
felt them. To me, that
Mm.
is also part of the adventure. So, because it's such an adventure, I want everybody listening in here, even though you've been through a painful breakup, a divorce, you're dealing with the shame, you're dealing with embarrassment, you're dealing with the wounds and everything.
Right.
I want you to have some positivity as well. I want you to keep your mind open, stay open to the possibilities of love once again. Don't be afraid to open up to someone new. Maybe at the very most, it's just time. Time is a factor. You need a bit of time to heal. That's fine. Give
Mm.
yourself the time you need. Okay, like we
Yeah.
said earlier, but don't close the door shut from the possibilities of love ever happening again. If someone wants to get to know you, just go along with it. And when it reaches a point where you start to feel uncomfortable, just say, you know what, I think I need to be on my own again for a while. I'm sorry, it's not you. I just need to be away for a while because I'm still healing, recovering from my recent breakup, divorce, blah blah blah.
Or you genuinely don't really feel for the
Oh,
person.
well, yeah, of course.
You don't
Just be
have to
honest.
force yourself
Yeah.
to be in a relationship just because, right?
hmm
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you've
yeah.
done that before. You've broken hearts before, right, Lisa?
You don't know that.
But I think it's better to just end it like that rather than giving someone hope and then ending it because that person would have invested a lot more.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it doesn't mean that just because the relationship after that didn't work out doesn't mean that oh, that's it. It's just it'll just never work out for me lah.
mm,
Can is that what you're saying too, Ustaz? Like
mhm.
like don't um think just because it didn't work out the second time again, meaning like macam, oh, okay lah,
But
maybe
double
love is not for
failures.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe love is not for me.
Like I said,
But
love is so unpredictable, but
mm,
it gives you a lot of assurance and certainty when you finally find one, the right one, someone who compliments you, someone who shares the same vision and love for you.
mhm.
When you finally find one, I know some people who have failed multiple times, but when they
Huh.
finally find one, they say it's the sweetest one of all.
Oh,
And
really? Oh,
yeah,
that's so nice.
and you need to sometimes maybe fall a couple of times before you finally know the feeling of how good it actually can be. The potential
Mm.
that love can actually do to your life is quite amazing. So, in this episode, Lisa, I want us to, maybe encourage our listeners a bit more. Lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the ones who are losing hope and losing faith in love. So, Lisa, maybe you want to share what are some of the most beautiful, amazing feelings you've ever had as a result of being in love? Yeah, maybe you can share.
Oh, put me on spot there. Okay.
I mean, it's a feeling. It's just
It
dalam
it
hati je.
is.
What is
Yeah,
it?
that's true. That's true. No, I guess I'm at the stage right now where because the both of us are so busy right now,
Mm-hmm.
but then like at the same time it's the little things that help with that feeling of like, oh, it feels so nice. Like, I don't know if you remember, we had a few sharing sharing moments in our previous episodes about how we spoken about how little things matter and all that. So
Mm.
just today is a very very close example. Like where there was a FaceTime phone call, and then like as usual, I thought, yes, you want to speak to the kids, go ahead and all that. And he was like, and then he goes, "What's my wife?"
Yeah,
You
something
know,
like that. Very simple.
just very little words. Where's my wife? And then mommy, and then Yahira goes, right there, daddy. And I'm off screen, right? And then he was like, but I want to see my wife. Where's my wife? I would like to look at her too. Where is she?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, that's
oh,
sweet.
oh, so that feels nice. And
Suka
I
lah
was
tu,
like,
Lisa.
look at that. But that was nice. Like, but you see, like,
That feeling.
the thing is, I think, like maybe one could say like, yeah lah, you're in a good position now, or you're in a good situation now, senang lah you nak cakap dan sebagainya kan. Tapi like even in our calamities, we must learn to sangka baik at it. Like macam it's not necessarily a dugaan. It could be an ujian for us. And in the previous episodes, Ustaz shared with me something so beautiful. Ultimately, our Creator, the Divine God, is the most loving. It's an attribute that I think that we kadang forget.
Mm.
We forget this attribute,
Mm.
and this attribute we have it in all of us as well,
Yes.
because our Creator is that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could hold on to that, I feel we it's almost like, when we people say, we must have faith in Allah. It's also that because Allah is the most loving, we must also have faith that
Yes.
that is possible, that is possible for you. Well, of course, like nobody knows what's written for each and every individual, right? But at the same time, like I think instead of already like thinking the negative of
Mm.
yourself or what is designed for your life with regards to love, is for you to sangka baik at it, at least
Mm. Mm.
that is what I think I would share with our listeners. We must at least sangka baik at it, whether or not love is destined for you ke apa ke and all that, but you must sangka baik at it, because you would be so surprised at the amount of doors opening for you
Mm.
when you sangka baik at it, you
Mm.
know
Very nicely
subhanallah,
said.
right?
Very nicely
Right.
said. Yeah.
uh,
So, guys, I think what Lisa also is trying to say is you should believe in love because we worship a God who is, in essence, all love, rahmah,
mm-mm, mm-mm.
compassion.
Yeah,
So, how can you not believe in love when your creator, is Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim? So,
yeah,
you need to go back to that and realize that, love is always a possibility. I need to stay open to it. I don't know what kind of love will come and when it will come and in what shape and form, the name of the person and things like that. But sometimes it can happen in the most strangest of ways. Maybe yours is very unique, you know.
yeah.
So just stay open to it, be positive, don't put too much pressure on yourself. At the same time, tell yourself if it happens, it happens. But don't shut the door. I guess that's really what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Because once you find it, the feeling is pretty amazing. Yeah. And I do get Lisa, sometimes people message me, Ustaz, doakan saya dah sedia nak kahwin, tak ada orang nak saya, or saya dah kena nak kahwin tapi belum jumpa sesiapa. And I'm like,
Okay.
it's good. And I think some of them they're really young though. They're like early 20s, and they're like saying they want it. But I always remind them, just continue to make dua, continue to be a good person, continue to work on yourself, continue to develop yourself. To me, those are the most important things. Continue to be a
and
good
and
servant to Allah. Yeah.
yeah, and back to and following up from being a good servant to Allah is also, I think, in our du'as we must remember to, in our du'as tu kan, macam like saya nak kahwin full stop would not be enough for the doa. Maybe it's sort of like, ya Allah ya Tuhanku, apa tu, jika aku dijodohkan, jika tertulis untuk aku untuk berkahwin, if it's written for me to be able to build a family, to kahwin, to build a masjid, to kahwin, may it be something for me to be closer to you,
Mm.
you know. So like maybe perhaps that could be in your du'as as well when it comes to love that may have not jodoh yang tak panjang. You know, if jodoh yang tak panjang, maybe the doa can be that, like, you know, ya Allah ya Tuhanku, kalau tertulis untuk aku berpeluang untuk jumpa seseorang yang I can spend my life with as a companion, for me to build a masjid again, may it lead me to the path yang Allah redai, yang
Yeah,
you know. So maybe like like I think it's about understanding the introspective view about this as well.
true. Always ask, you know, people always wonder, Ustaz, should I be very specific in my dua? Should I keep it
Okay,
open?
all right.
And I think either way is fine, in my opinion.
Okay.
Scholars have different views on this. Some say, no, keep it generic. Some say it's
Mm.
okay. I think it really depends on your situation. But I like where Lisa is coming from, you know, because I think what happens, Lisa, when we become too specific and is that when
Okay.
you don't get what you exactly want, what you exactly ask for, you get really disappointed. But
Okay.
when
All right.
the way Lisa read the Dua just now is like, you know, if
If it
someone's
is,
good for me, bring me closer to this person, make it easy. So you really, leaving it to Allah, and Allah
mm,
is going to attract that person to your life, and Allah is going to make it easy for you to be with this person.
mm,
And if everything falls into place in that manner, it means this is something of an answered prayer. It's
yeah.
something, inshallah, will be blessed by Allah if you do your part and he or she does their part, and that should be quite fine. So maybe to avoid, if you're somebody who's easily disappointed, um, don't be overly specific. I guess that's
Right.
another message.
Right. Yeah. When we want to make dua, right? Like, you know, because we were sharing about how, you know, like it's, of course, when we dua to Allah, we walk to Him one step, He runs to us 10 steps. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like as it's mentioned in the Quran, I believe. Ustaz, is
Yes,
it? Yeah.
hadith
In the
Qudsi.
hadith,
Yeah.
hadith Qudsi, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So like cuma macam the doa primarily what we want is to be a good servant, like how Ustaz was saying just now. You want to be a good servant to Allah SWT. There are certain things that we have absolute control for in life, and there are also things that we don't have control for.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that we don't have control for, what is the mindset, what is the outlook that we want to do to be able to manage our days, right? Our
Mm.
day in, day out. Do we want to be like sort of like, oh, like do we feed into the feeling of loss of hope or
Mm.
negativity ke apa ke, or kita kena sangka baik, and then cara kita doa tu macam, and yet I think with doas like that, maybe inshallah we can still feel contentment,
Yes.
because you accept what is written for you anyhow, and
The
then
first,
when,
yeah.
sorry, you were
The
saying.
first level of contentment is really in knowing that whatever I'm asking Allah, Allah listens. Allah already hears my dua. That's the
Mm,
first level of contentment, to be heard,
mm,
to be heard. And then the next part is having the husnul zon, you said, to know
mm,
that Allah will deliver, uh, because He said, Udu'uni astajib lakum, ask from me and I will give you, I
mm,
will
mm,
respond
mm.
to you. So you know Allah will respond.
And
But
also
mm,
will respond, tapi whether or not it is in the way you expect or
yeah,
the way you
Allah
don't
will
expect,
Allah will always respond in a way that's better than what you
that's
expected.
best for us,
Mm.
right? Mm.
Which in our head, this is the problem. The problem is sometimes in our head we don't think that that is the best,
Okay,
but Allah will deliver the best nevertheless.
right, right.
Mm.
Okay.
So, my dear listeners and viewers, another thing that I want you to know is that when love ends because of a mistake that you did, I don't want you to also cancel out future possibilities of love, and consider that it's already vanished along with all of your mistakes. Like macam, you did something in a relationship that caused it to end. You feel all the
Okay.
guilt, and you
Mm.
think like, I don't deserve love anymore because
Right.
I'm such a bad person. Okay, I'm gonna hurt more people in the future. Don't
Mm.
don't do that to yourself. You know, every
Mm.
mistake should be looked at an isolated mistake on its own, and then you learn from that lesson,
You're right.
and then you work on yourself, and then you learn how to be better, and then you
Strange
develop.
thing.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's strange? Like, but then there's, I think there's some certain truth to this. Like, yeah, lah, like being a mom now, and I'm sure you understand. You're a father of four,
Mm-hmm.
and then we try to guide our children, to guide them about ensuring that they learn, right? At the same time, as a parent, I'm learning that sometimes my kids have to make mistakes.
It's true.
But why I say so is because there is this tendency of human beings to learn better from mistakes. Of course, don't repeat them once you learn from it. Don't repeat the same mistake once you learn from it, so that you are able to act better or more efficiently for a certain something or whatever. But there's a certain, this is trying to be Husnuzon in a way as well, right?
Mm.
Where you look at failure differently.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at a failed loved relationship could be a hikmah that you don't seem to understand at that moment of time.
Yeah.
Like macam, although the love may have failed and all that kan, tapi actually tak. Tapi you learn more about yourself. You learn more about what you want. You
Mm.
learn more about what you don't want. You
Yeah.
we have a better understanding about people, or about um, uh, communication, relationship from one person to the other, etc. So yeah, so as like how Ustaz mentioned before, how love should not be looked at as the problem to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Your mistakes in itself should be looked at as something that a failure doesn't mean that it is a dead end. Like
Yes.
there are sayings where they say that once you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. They
Mm-hmm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
and so we have to look at the failure as something that is building, yang
Mm.
membina rather than menghancurkan.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. One other thing, Lisa, I want to talk about today is for our listeners and our viewers to not
Mm-hmm.
to stop believing that they, or rather, I want people to not tell themselves that they don't deserve to be loved.
Oh,
Okay. So this is
okay.
something very important. I think we spoke very briefly about this in one of the early episodes, but now that we've spoken about a lot more, and now we're talking about people who have fallen out of love or failed in love or been hurt by love, and how do they love, believe in it again? I
Mm.
want them to believe that they deserve to be loved. That is very important. Okay. Never stop believing that. Because the moment you
Mm.
stop believing that, not only are you going to block and build the wall preventing people
Around
from
you,
loving you,
yeah.
but you know
Mm.
what actually is going to happen too is that you are going to stop taking care of yourself properly. You are going to stop loving yourself.
Yeah, like you're right. We don't they don't. If you think that way, that may happen. You feel less worthy about yourself. You don't take care of what you eat.
Yes. And this is where sometimes
You.
you see, you know, you don't see your friend for 6 months, and then when you see them again, they look so haggard and they look like they not be
Mm,
taking care of themselves.
mm.
That
Nobody
leads,
wants to love me anyway. What's the point of me taking care of myself?
that's the result of them believing that I don't deserve to be loved.
Yeah, yeah.
That really is. So don't ever
Mm,
allow yourself to get to that point. The reason, once again, that why you deserve to be loved is because of the reasons that Lisa mentioned earlier, that we worship a God that is most loving.
mm,
And when you remember that He loves you regardless, then that should give you the motivation to want to love yourself.
yeah.
Number one. Number two, the motivation to allow love to enter into your life. Because that's how Allah sends love. Allah sends love to your life not always directly. Sometimes He sends love through another person so that person can show you what love is, teach you
Mm,
how to love, um, give you an experience of what pain feels like when you love, and then send another person to teach you how to heal yourself when you loved. You know, Allah sends you all of these lessons through people sometimes, and then you need to keep that door open because that's when you learn the
mashallah.
most.
Wow.
Mm.
Well
So
said, Ustaz.
yeah. So you deserve to be loved. Okay, guys. I want to repeat this until it sticks in your mind. Okay, it sticks in your head. You deserve
You deserve to be
love,
loved.
and you
Yes.
deserve to be loved. Love
Yes.
yourself. Take care of yourself. You know, you are worthy of love. You are good enough to be loved. You are special in your own unique way to be loved. You are not weird. You are not strange. You are divinely created. You are God's masterpiece.
Mm,
Remember that you deserve to be loved. You have flaws like all of us do. That does not disqualify you
mm,
from being able to receive love. Okay, you have made mistakes in the past, like all of us have,
mhm,
but that does not mean that there is no chance of love ever being a part of your life again. You may have been hurt by others before, but that does not mean that everyone else after that will continue to hurt you. You may have hurt someone else before and you felt regret, remorse, and guilt. That
mm.
does not mean that you're going to continue repeating to hurt other people in the future.
Right.
Give yourself a chance when it comes to love. Love is so much more beautiful than you ever thought, you ever imagined. I want you to believe in love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. I truly believe that. Okay? So
Wow.
you
I
deserve to
like
be
the
loved.
part when you said that you have to give it a chance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like even though it's a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth,
Mm,
because we have to remember one of the most beautiful attributes that Allah has,
mm,
like you said, kan Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim.
mm.
Ah, so wow, wow, that was moving.
Yeah.
That was moving. I
So
like that.
guys,
Nice, nice, nicely said,
let's
Ustaz. Thank you.
so guys, let's not give up so soon, okay? I don't care how old you are, to be honest. You could be in your late 40s, in your 50s. If you're listening to this, thank you. And there's always a possibility. There's always a window of opportunity. If God wants to send somebody in your life, He's going to send that person in your life. And I hope when that,
B.
yeah, be and it shall be. And when that happens, I hope you're not having your guards up, your walls up. I hope you can ease a little bit in when it comes to all of that and be open and ready for love.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Any
Thank you
last
for
words,
that,
Lisa?
Ustaz. And thank you for that. Like I really hope, like I have friends, family members, like which I wish would be listening to this particular episode primarily,
Okay.
you know. So, like I mean, of course I am hoping that they listen to all 15.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think this one hits the nail for them like
Mm-hmm.
a lot more because of
Okay.
the situation that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So like I it really stems from the husnuzon, the
Mm-hmm.
sankabai, the positivity here
Mm-hmm.
internally, for you to be able to really allow that to manifest and grow. And it's so important that you do that. And it's not necessarily because it's about companionship, it's also for yourself. So I think I really hope that they understand the message that you've been sharing, the pointers that you've been sharing, because it's really really important. um because like amanah is not just about who you take care of, it's also yourself.
Yeah.
Like we it's taking good care of ourselves is also an amanah, which I think that we have to put importance to as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when we start allowing for these chances or allowing for this to happen, sometimes unexpectedly so amazing things happen
Mm-hmm.
in hikmah yang berlaku to us that we didn't expect, and then it happens and then you're like, gosh, you know like, wow, I really didn't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
When you put the definitions in the right place, the dependencies in the right place, the priorities in the right place, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope
Thank
this
you.
episode once again has given you some more hope, renewed
Yes,
belief when it comes to love, inshallah. And
inshallah.
we will continue to make dua for all of you listening in. Okay. So thank you once again. If you love any parts of this episode, let us know. Share with your friends on social media. Tag us. We'll be more than happy to read them and also reshare them. Okay. Till then, we have one more episode left. Looking forward to that one. Take care, everyone. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.
Barakallahu fikum.